Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 354 for July 23rd, 2024. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the Billings Outlaws are your ArenaBowl XXXIII champions, the Indoor Football League playoffs are set, and the new EA Sports College Football 25 video game has already made $200 million in pre-sales. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
Let's crack open a Mountain Dew. I don't know if the high-pitched opening of the can will make it onto the audio or not. I just opened a can of Mountain Dew to celebrate the fact that we have made it through an Arena Football League season that a lot of people didn't think would actually happen, especially after the way the season began.
They finally crossed the finish line, and it was kind of like Weird Al running with scissors across the finish line. Yes, it could have gone bad, but it turned out okay.
That's a good album, too.
It was a good album. Yeah, it was great being there. It was a long drive, man.
I'm sure you'll talk a little bit on the podcast. We're definitely going to talk about it a lot on our videos. I don't know how much you want to, go into on the podcast, but
yeah, we'll kind of preview it here. But we've got all kinds of stuff planned around the.
We're going to do our normal weekly arena video, which we haven't recorded yet, but we'll have a lot of interviews Randy took, and we'll probably reuse even interviews because Randy's going to do his whole vlog of his travel to the game. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
We got quite a few things this week in the pipeline, so be on the lookout for all that.
Yeah, busy week this week.
Busy week.
We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You will find many other selected videos on our YouTube channel, like Canadian Football League Weekly, where we talked about Week 6 last week, or was it Week 7? I don't remember.
We recorded Week 7. It'll be up probably tonight.
That's right. That's the one we did that we haven't got up yet.
Yeah, we recorded it last night, so that'll get up tonight. We've been... Man, even though I had the day off yesterday, because I was gone all weekend too.
You didn't do crap.
I had to do a bunch of stuff to set up my trip to Canada. I got my passport situation taken care of.
Yeah, and that took 2 trips to the post office. It's always something when you're doing with passports and the post office. And you forgot to cross this T, dot this I. This was wrong. I made one little mistake. I filled out the form for you because I did one for you, me, and your mom. We all got passports at the same time. Your mom and I took ours months ago, and we got them already. And you finally took yours and found out I made one mistake on yours and had tried to redo it, but oh man, we couldn't edit a PDF file, so it was stuck doing it all over again. Whatever.
Luckily, they gave me one to fill out by hand, which I should have just done from the beginning. But
whatever.
It's whatever. That's taken care of. And then I also spent a little time playing the new college football video game. Maybe we could talk about that later. I don't know, but and then just editing videos. I started to work on a couple of things last night, but nothing's done yet. It's been busy.
Yeah,
making up for lost time over the weekend. Some of us didn't go to an Arena Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. We also got Arena Football League Weekly, our postseason semifinal round video that we did last week.
Yep, we previewed the Arena Bowl. That seemed to get some traction. You obviously, it was a lot of footage of you at the game ahead of time. A couple of our things we'll talk about, made a splash on the internet, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that, but go check out those videos if you haven't already.
All right. So let's begin this week's tour around the world of football, and we're going to start with some. That's not right.
Yeah, because you didn't edit the script.
Okay.
All right, we're going to start off with talking about the championship game in the Arena Football League, everybody. That's the Arena Bowl. Arena Bowl 33 played in East Rutherford, New Jersey, which saw the number 1 seeded Billings Outlaws take on the number 2 seed Albany Firebirds. What a game this ended up being. It was called The Brawl in the Mall. It was a sight to behold. If you got a chance to see this live, if not, go check out the highlights because it was something special.
It looked gorgeous on
There was
TV.
a lot of skepticism, I think, going into this game. We'll talk about that after this. But here's what happened. The number 1 seeded Billings Outlaws took out those Firebirds 46-41. Billings quarterback Isaac Harker was named your Arena Bowl MVP. He threw 5 touchdowns during this game, and all those touchdown passes went to Dwayne Brown. Harker finished 16-27 for 184 yards, and Brown had 9 receptions for 125 yards and those 5 touchdowns, obviously.
Yeah.
Albany quarterback Jake Medlock completed 19 of 32 passes for 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, while star wide receiver Darius Prince had 8 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Darian Townsend had 5 receptions for 101 yards and a touchdown. Albany converted just 1 of 5 of their 4-point tries during the game, and then failed to recover any of their 4 onside kicks in the second half.
And you know why that was?
A lot of there was one that was an onside penalty that would have made a great play, but
Right.
it got called.
Right, but they had signed a quick kicker just the day before.
That's true. Yeah. So their normal kicker, Mark Orozco, got injured during last week's game, I guess, and so the day before the Arena Bowl, they got a hold of Dylan McAdam. I'm not sure how you even pronounce his name. They had trouble during the broadcast saying his name too.
I heard him pronounce it, and I was like, I don't know if I could pronounce it.
I would say like McAdam or something like that.
Yeah,
but
McAdam.
But I thought he did fine. Those onside kick, the one that should have been recovered, that was called back thanks to an onside, was beautiful. It was one of the best onside kicks I've ever seen.
Right.
But they didn't really utilize him as much as you would think.
His kickoffs weren't even getting to the net.
Yeah.
So I don't recall if they even tried a field goal. I don't think they did. That's why they went.
They went for 4th down a lot.
Yeah.
I don't have that stat in front of me, but they went down for 4th down a lot in this game. And it was his first time playing Arena Ball too, so that's got to be tough.
5 times they went.
5 times they went for it.
Once in the first half, at the end of the first half, and then 4 in the second half.
Okay.
And converted only 1 of them in the second half.
Okay. But yeah, so what a game though. I mean, congratulations to Billings.
Yes.
For getting the win.
Yes.
Talking a little bit about the game itself, the presentation wise, you were there at the arena, watching it on TV. I thought, it did look a little cramped just because the camera angle, you couldn't see the near sideline as well as you would hope.
Right.
But it didn't. I mean, it only happened every once in a while that something would happen and you'd be like, well, darn, I can't see what's happening. Or the cameraman would pan and there'd be somebody standing right there to block the view. That happened a few times. They seem to have a lot of mic issues too with the referee.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know how that felt to you in the arena.
Well, in the arena, we couldn't hear a thing anyway. So, we never heard a thing over the loudspeaker, when the ref was talking, never heard anything he said. So it was all going to the TV, folks, and they had problems picking it up. But no, we never heard the referee say a word. It was just that loud. But being there, it was just visually stunning to see it in that setting. The way the 3 decks were. People could just walk by who weren't even watching the game, but there were people that were sitting around the lower seating area.
Was anything like roped off? Because if you paid for a ticket, I'd be mad if some
Joe
Schmo off the street just walked up and took a seat.
They had like a roped off area where the bleachers were, but all you had to do was crawl underneath them.
So I didn't have to pay for a ticket.
Well, a lot of people did because from what I saw, a lot of the people that were sitting in the section where I was at, they had a wristband, so you had to buy a wristband. Well, I'd already bought my ticket, and there was nobody there to scan the ticket. But if anybody asked me, sure, I had my press credentials, but I also on my phone had a ticket that said I was sitting in the lower bleacher section.
Easy there, sir. Already talking about your press credentials. Jeez, we get 1,000 subscribers for 2 weeks, and here he is throwing around his credentials like Wayne from Wayne's World.
Hey, I got a nice cool badge that has the Arena Bowl logo on it. That is a souvenir that goes in my collection with all the other press badges I've got for all the other AFL and AF2 teams that I've covered over the years. Yeah, you got them
hanging around here in the World of Football studio. You got a nice long sleeve Arena Bowl t-shirt here.
Yep.
I saw you claimed a Nashville Cats shirt. Did you get that at the game, or is that your old one?
No, that's
okay. You had a bunch of t-shirts sitting around. I saw a Billings Outlaws shirt you got, which you must have got at the game.
Yep, I got that one there too.
Yeah, so I don't see my jersey anywhere that you borrowed.
It's in the closet.
Okay,
I'll
just
get that
making
too. I
sure.
don't see my shirt that
I
you
did
borrowed
forget.
in
I washed it
exchange.
and I hung it up in my closet. I forgot to bring it over.
Okay.
But anything else from your experience at the game? I know, like we said, we're going to do those videos all about that. But
Yeah.
anything else you want to bring
No,
up about the game?
it was just so much fun to be there. Everybody was having a good time. Yeah, I was sitting with a bunch of well, let's see. I was sitting right by the Albany bench where the
Yeah.
players were at, and there were a bunch of Albany fans in the little bleacher section that I was happened to be in. And then in the next bleacher section to my left, it was all Billings fans.
Yeah.
So they were going back and forth, nothing too nasty, but the typical trash talk between opponents, and
That had to have
so
been fun.
it was kind of fun, and it didn't escalate to anything, where anybody was swearing at anybody, but it was just kind of fun for that. I have never in my life, in all the games I've ever gone to, sat that close to the field before.
Yeah, for an arena game.
Yes, there were a couple of times when a guy was running with the ball and he got smashed into the boards right in front of us. I thought he was going
Oh
to
yeah.
wind up in our lap. And then at the very end of the game, when Albany was trying to score one last time, when they did, uh, I, the quarterback threw a pass to the sideline, and I swear that ball was coming right at my face, 100 miles an hour, and I didn't even have time to react. And before I knew it, these pair of hands came up and grabbed the ball out of the air, and the receiver made the catch and got pushed in the boards. But I swear that was coming right at my face. So I've never sat that close to a game. It was awesome being that close. I got some great pictures and great video. Just an awesome experience. I'm so glad I went. I think everybody that was there was very impressed with the way the game was played, how it looked. It was a great game, back and forth. Billings led most of the game.
I was going to say Billings led like most of the game, but I mean Albany stayed within striking distance,
Right, yeah,
even
they
with
were-
the 4-point rule.
Yep.
So
Yep, I think 10 points was maybe the biggest lead, but for the most part, it was like 4 points, 5 points was
I
the
think at one
difference.
point it was like 13 might have been the most. I could be wrong,
Could be,
but
could be. I don't remember.
But yeah,
the
Billings
details.
did Billings ever give up the lead?
I think in the second quarter, I think Albany had the lead very
I was
quickly.
gonna say it was very brief.
Yes, and it wasn't
yeah.
by much, and then Billings.
So
came
so
back.
my other question then is, it looked like it was a cool venue to have the game in.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be something they should do the Arena Bowl at again, but I would be interested in them hosting a one a year event there. And a lot of people were asking, were the nets a lot narrow? I guess the nets were a little narrower.
Yes.
To accommodate for the cornered
Right. Yeah. There was.
end zones. That's what our friend Tim Capper was telling us.
Right. The second and third decks were rounded just like the field was, and the regulation size rebound nets were too wide, so they had to narrow them down a little bit, and they were angled just a little bit, towards the middle of the field, which looked a little weird. On TV, you couldn't tell.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
It looked great.
I saw some close-up images where it looked like they also had a bunch of caution tape taping the back of the, so it looked like it wouldn't, swing around,
Right.
which is fine, whatever. Like I said, on TV you couldn't tell.
No.
Up close, I was like, oof, that looks bad. That looks janky, but it worked.
It even looked good in person. I was just fascinated. It was great. It was so much fun to be there. I said, if they come back here for another Arena Bowl, I would come back again because it was that cool. But I heard somebody that's kind of in the know saying that they probably would not go back there again. But it was cool, and I'm glad I went.
Yeah, it seemed like a cool venue. Like I said, I don't know if they should do that again for an Arena Bowl, but if they wanted to do like a showcase game or an exhibition preseason game where it's like, hey, we're going to bring 2 expansion teams here to showcase how arena football works. Hey, Jerry Kurz and Jeff Fish, if you guys are listening, Gary Compton, I think that would be a thing. Because I remember, we've talked about before, back in the day, the Rampage and the Phantoms played an exhibition game in Kansas City. I think that's what the Arena League needs more of. Play an exhibition game for some teams in these neutral locations. I think that's more valuable than neutral site championship and playoff games that they originally wanted to do. But I don't. It is a very cool, unique venue. If they can find more venues like that, that's just cool and unique, and it's a destination thing where like arena football hardcore fans can be like, oh, they're going to do a special thing at put an arena field in the middle of the big house or something, a once in a lifetime type of thing where you're not going to do it all the time. Like a game in the mall, like that's something that would be a cool destination thing. Yep. And speaking of the Nets, we woke up Saturday, no, it was Friday morning, wasn't it? Where we woke up to text messages about being on Barstool Sports,
Oh,
you got a message from our friend at NFL Films. Why am I blanking on his name all of a sudden? I apologize.
Chris Willis?
Yeah, Chris Willis.
Oh, I didn't know that came from him.
You texted me that he texted you that
No,
message.
no. A guy from the Pro Football Researchers Association
Oh, I thought you said Chris.
brought that to my attention.
I thought you said Chris Willis sent you that.
No,
That's what you said in
no.
the text message
Oh,
to me.
I'm sorry.
So
But
sorry, Chris. Didn't mean to drag your name through there all like that. But
no, that was the father of the San Francisco 49ers kicker that brought that to my attention, and I sent it on to you.
oh, Chad.
Yes,
Chad.
Chad.
Moody sent you
Yes.
that. Oh, okay, yeah. I kept mixing Chris Willis to that. Okay, yep. You did say Chad Moody.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, the kicker for the San Francisco 49ers, Dad. We're gonna name drop people, I guess. Send it to Dad. And then you sent it to me, and I was looking at it. And when you look at the article, it's just an article. It's not like they did a video on it, I don't think.
Right.
But it's cool that the first tweet you see in the article is just a video you took,
Yep.
and you sent it to me. And I just was like, well, I'll make a tweet out of it, and we'll see what happens. And little did we know that it was going to blow up the way it did. I found that little 11-second clip all over the place. Some people credit us. Well, I think a couple accounts didn't, but whatever. It's fine. I messaged one of them to say, hey, in the future, like, it'd be cool. Just give us credit, because like if we post anything anybody else does, we try to give people credit.
Sure.
But it was just cool to see how that thing just caught wildfire, and all these places were using our little video we took.
Yeah,
that you took, I think is wild.
I took several, from different angles. I think I went up on all 3 different levels, getting a picture of the field the day before, just
Yeah.
because I thought it was so cool. And but yeah, that one 11-second clip where I just like panned from one side to the other.
Before the nets were even up.
Went everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
The nets weren't even up; they were still laying on the ground, and they didn't get put up till the next day of the game.
So yeah, pretty cool. It's cool when something like that happens, and we appreciate everybody who gave us some credit and said that they found it on our X account, because
Yeah.
that's the only place we posted it. I didn't even think to put it on our other social medias, but other people did, and they ran with it, and it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about? Oh, well, I guess there's one other arena thing, I guess, real quick, that we didn't put in the rundown that we talked about. Arena Insider, our friend Anthony Carter over there, he put out his first episode of his Arena Football docu-series he's been putting on YouTube. He posted it the night of the Arena Bowl. And I'm trying to pull up the name, because I won't say it's a long title, but it is called something about the turbulent. I can't see. It was like one of the most recent things I watched, and now I don't even see it in my.
Yeah, but it's all about the wild beginnings. It's a documentary on this whole past season, and how it started out. How we had 16 teams, and then things started to fall apart as the season started going along. You reminded me about that. I knew it was out there, but I hadn't watched it yet, so I watched it earlier
He
today.
called it the turbulent revival of the Arena Football League. It's episode 1. It's an 11-minute video. You can go to Arena Insider's YouTube channel to go check it out. I thought it was pretty well done. A lot of information in there.
Yep.
Anthony, I thought laid out the story pretty well. By the end of that little 11 minutes, I was like, where's the next one? I want the next.
Right.
I just wanted to watch everything in one sitting. I was like sucked in.
Yeah, he's the one that actually took the picture of me at the game with your jersey and my press pass on, standing by the field. I posted that on our social media, on our Facebook. I don't think I made it to Twitter, but on our Facebook account, I posted that picture along with a bunch of other pictures from the game and the day before.
Yeah, so if you guys get a chance and you're curious, go check that out. I thought.
Yeah. And I posted a link to that on our social media also, Facebook and Twitter.
Yep, help Anthony out, share it, and go check it out. Leave him a comment and all that. I thought Anthony did a really good job there. All right, we now will move on from the Arena Football League, and we will now head down to Houston, Texas, to talk about another championship game. That being the AWFL. What's that, you ask? Well, that is the American Women's Football League. And they had their championship game this past weekend, which saw the Detroit Prowl, who were 7-0, defeat the Dallas Lady Prime 30-26. The Prowl are now back-to-back AWFL champions.
Had an undefeated season.
Undefeated season. We really haven't talked about the AWFL at all. We've been really...
Yeah, we didn't. There wasn't a whole lot of coverage that we did this year, but I do believe that they are trying to get a team in Kalamazoo for next season, because I've seen some stuff about the about tryouts for it. So I believe that's the league that they're trying to get a Kalamazoo team. But they've already got a Detroit team, 2-time
Oh
champions.
shoot! If they come with a team to Kalamazoo, I mean,
Yeah.
we might have to strike up some sort of
Yep.
coverage of that. I'm just saying. I'm just throw that
Like we
out
don't have
there.
enough on our plate already, but hey, but it's in your backyard,
Hey,
and I don't have to
you have
drive
no
13
excuse.
hours to get somewhere to see a game.
You have no excuse.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we are now going to head north of the border, and we are going to talk some Canadian football. On Friday night, we saw the Ottawa Red Blacks defeat the Edmonton Elks 20-14. The Elks, what a short
Oh, my
turnaround
gosh.
for them this week.
Yep.
They fired their coach, and these two teams just played Sunday night,
Yep.
and then they had to turn
5
around and
days
play
later.
Friday night. So, but the Elks still kept it within the 6-point game, but man, nothing just seems to go the Elks' way so far. They're 0-6 on the season. Then on Friday night, the Saskatchewan Roughriders defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 19-9. Winnipeg, they just won 2 in a row, so them getting beat there. But you got to give Saskatchewan some kudos. They wore some nice alternate uniforms.
Yep.
And they've just been playing pretty good. They have the best record in the league right now after 7 weeks. So they're a team to look out for. Saturday, the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeated their arch rival, the Toronto Argonauts, 27-24. Toronto had a chance at the end of the game to kind of make a comeback, but the Tiger Cats snuffed it out to get their first win of the season.
Yep.
And then the Calgary Stampeders defeated the BC Lions 25-24. During the halftime of this game, Wally Buono was inducted into the Wall of Fame at halftime.
Yeah,
So,
he's now in the Calgary Wall of Fame, and he's in the BC Lions Hall of Fame because he was the head coach of both teams, and I guess he owns the franchise record for the most wins
for both franchises.
for both franchises. Yes, and he's in the Canadian Football Hall.
Well, shoot, they need to just change it to the Wally of Fame at this point. I'm going to slap my knee for that one.
Yeah.
And then on by this week, the Montreal Alouettes. And I guess we're not going to talk standings here because that looks like that got taken out of the...
Oh, no, we do standings on our CFL video, not here.
Well, we should still be doing standings.
Well, we
here.
might throw
them
it
back in
the
because
next, when we get a few of these other leagues.
well, with the Arena League gone, I say throw in the stat. Okay, next week we'll cover the standings here on the podcast as well. But yes, obviously we do it on the video too.
Fine.
Look at you trying to cut corners. All right. Speaking of cutting corners, let's now jump back to the States and jump into some more indoor and arena football where they cut the corners of their end zone sometimes. That was a terrible transition. Yeah, you're telling me. I'm disappointed in myself with that one. So the Indoor Football League, it was week 19. 19 weeks of this season just fly by.
The end of the regular season.
End of their regular season. The final week to determine playoff positions. And so here are your full slate of games for the weekend. On Friday night, the Tulsa Oilers defeated the Massachusetts Pirates 44-24. On Saturday, the San Antonio Gunslingers fell to the Arizona Rattlers 41-34. This helped Arizona earn the final playoff spot. We were very concerned about Arizona for much of the year. They didn't look like the same team they typically are, but they still managed to get into the playoffs. Saturday, the Jacksonville Sharks defeated the Quad City Steamwheelers 43-37. There was a play in this game where I think the ball hit the because they're different uprights, it's just the one goalpost hanging from the ceiling.
Right.
And I believe it hit that upright and somebody snagged it and returned it for a touchdown. It was a heck of a replay. I saw it on X. If you get a chance, go check that out. I forget which team returned it, but I remember seeing that just being like, dang, that's a heck of a play. So that was a cool highlight from the weekend there in the IFL. Saturday, the Green Bay Blizzard defeated the Sioux Falls Storm 51-30. Also Saturday, the Frisco Fighters took out the Iowa Barnstormers 59-47. The Bay Area Panthers defeated the San Diego Strike Force 30-20. The Vegas Nighthawks defeated the Tucson Sugar Skulls 49-25 to round out all the Saturday games. And then they had one game on Sunday, which saw the Duke City Gladiators defeat the Northern Arizona Wranglers 69-48. So that gives them their third win of the season. So good for Duke City getting that win at the end of the year.
Yeah.
All right, and then here are your final regular season standings in the IFL. In the Eastern Conference, the Green Bay Blizzard will be your number 1 seed at 13-3. The Frisco Fighters, your number 2 seed, also at 13-3. Your 3rd seed is the Massachusetts Pirates at 8-8, followed by the 4th seed Quad City Steamwheelers at 8-8. Then here are your eliminated teams in the East. The Tulsa Oilers were 6-10. The Jacksonville Sharks and Iowa Barnstormers were both 5-11, and the Sioux Falls Storm were 3-13. In the Western Conference, your number 1 seed is going to be the Bay Area Panthers at 13-3. Your number 2 seed, the Vegas Nighthawks at 11-5. Your number 3 seed, the Arizona Rattlers at 11-5. And your number 4 seed will be the San Diego Strikeforce at 10-6. The eliminated teams in the West, the Northern Arizona Wranglers at 9-7, the San Antonio Gunslingers at 8-8, the Duke City Gladiators at 3-13, and the Tucson Sugar Skulls at 2-14. So this sets up your matchups for this weekend. And in the Eastern Conference, you're going to have on Friday night, kicking things off, the number 4 seed Quad City Steamwheelers at 8-8 will take on the number 1 seed Green Bay Blizzard, who again were 13-3. Then Saturday, we'll see the number 3 seed Massachusetts Pirates, who are 8-8, take on the number 2 seed Frisco Fighters at 13-3. And the Western Conference starts Saturday night. The number 4 seed San Diego Strikeforce at 10-6 will take on the number 1 seed Bay Area Panthers at 13-3. And then Sunday, the number 3 seed Arizona Rattlers, who are 11-5, will take on the number 2 seed Vegas Nighthawks, who are also 11-5.
Man, you look at those records. You've got 3 teams in the playoffs that were all 13-3. You got Green Bay, you got Frisco, and you got Bay Area. And then in the West, everybody had double digit wins. San Diego 10-6, Arizona and Vegas 11-5. The West is just really full of really good teams.
And what stinks is you get teams like Northern Arizona who are 9-7, San Antonio who were 8-8. They kind of had to come back. They had a really rough beginning of the year. I think they started off like 0-5, and they had a very rough beginning of the season, and they come back just to get to 8-8. And I mean, if the playoff structure was different, they probably might have ended up in there.
Yeah.
And so would have the Northern Arizona Wranglers. But the way everything was set up, you're gonna have to leave out a couple good teams.
Right. Yeah, you had some really, really good teams in the West.
But I mean, there's still a lot of interesting matchups here to watch out for. Then obviously the defending IFL champion Bay Area Panthers trying to, go back to back. We'll see how that goes for them. And we're definitely going to talk some more indoor football league. We do have a plan this week, a video that you should keep an eye out for. We're going to have a special guest to talk some indoor football league. So we're looking very forward to that.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the Arena League, which is no relation to the Arena Football League. But this was week 8. They're next to the last week of their regular season. The 4-team league in the Midwest. On Saturday, the Duluth Harbor Monsters improved to 4-3 with a win over the Ozarks Lunkers, who are now at 3-4. Duluth won that game 51-18. And then in the other game, it was the Kansas City Goats over the Iowa Woo 99-60. The Kansas City Goats are the best team in that 4-team league at 6-1, and Iowa is the worst at 1-6.
Yeah.
And they had some news come out of that league this week. They've already announced that they're going to have an expansion team in Eau Claire, Wisconsin in 2025 next season. But they announced the team name and the logo. They're going to be known as the Eau Claire Jammers. Have you seen this logo?
I did. It's like a lumberjack holding a guitar.
Yep. And it's got something to do with some music festival that they have there every year. I forget the name of the festival, but yeah, it's a bearded guy wearing a flannel shirt. He's got a guitar over his shoulder. He's got a football under one arm, and he's like standing, and there's the outline of a guitar pick behind him. So it's
not a bad logo.
This league's got some really quirky logos and names, but
it works for them.
It works for them. And there was another team too another expansion team that they had already mentioned. I forget where that is, but I don't think they've come up with their name and logo yet. So we'll expect for another. Look for another. So I think they're going to have at least 6 teams next year.
Yeah,
supposedly. All right, so let's head across the pond and talk about the European League of Football now. This was week 9 of 14 weeks for that league. And on Saturday, you had the Fehérvár Enthroners from Hungary defeat the Milano Seamen by the score of 27-17. Did you watch any of the highlights?
I have been so busy.
You have been a real busy guy.
I normally will find time at work to sit down and watch all the highlights.
At work.
And look, usually on my breaks, because they're only 7 minutes, so I'll watch a few during my first break. I'll watch a few at lunch. And I just was so busy. Yesterday, obviously doing all my running around, I didn't have time. Today, I was kind of rewatching the Arena Bowl in clips because we're going to talk about that today. So I was like, well, I'm going to do a little bit of a refresher for that. So I was rewatching that, and time.
And we just found out the Arena Bowl is going to be rebroadcast on CBS Sportsnet.
Yeah, I should have brought that up in the arena section.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
We're talking European League of Football. Let's keep going.
Fine. I won't mention it then. Let's see. Sunday, the Paris Musketeers over the Madrid Bravos, 29-13. It was the Vienna Vikings over the Berlin Thunder, 34-9. The Stuttgart Surge shut out the Wrocław Panthers of Poland by the score of 40-0. The Munich Ravens over the Helvetic Mercenaries from Switzerland, 55-23. The Rhine Fire over the Frankfurt Galaxy, 48-13. And the Cologne Centurions over the Hamburg Sea Devils, 32-25. Meaning that there were 3 teams on a bye this past weekend. The Tyrol Raiders from Austria, the Prague Lions, and the Barcelona Dragons. And now let's take a look at the standings after 9 weeks in the ELF, or the ELF League. In the East, they have 3 different divisions, or conferences. In the East, it's the Vienna Vikings at a perfect 9-0, the Berlin Thunder at 4-5, Wrocław Panthers at 3-5, Fehérvár Enforcers at 2-6, and the Prague Lions, the only winless team, at 0-8. In the Central, it's the Stuttgart Surge at 7-0, Tyrol Raiders at 5-3, Munich Ravens at 4-3, Milano Seamen at 3-5, Barcelona Dragons at 2-6, and the Helvetic Mercenaries at 1-7. And then finally in the West, it's the Rhine Fire at 8-1, Paris Musketeers at 6-1, Madrid Bravos 5-2, Cologne Centurions 3-4, Frankfurt Galaxy and Hamburg Sea Devils at 2-3. And
2-5.
I'm sorry, 2-5. Yes, they're both 2-5. Let's see. The Women's Football Alliance will be playing next weekend in their championship game, so we'll have coverage of that. 3 championship games, and they've had a an all-star game too on their schedule over the weekend. I haven't seen word of a all-star game yet, but 3 games next week.
Yep.
All right, now back to the U.S. as we wrap up our tour, and we're going to talk some NFL news right now. There's a new Netflix documentary coming out August 20th called The Murder of Air McNair, and I just saw this yesterday. We all remember how Steve McNair was murdered several years ago, and I guess they got a whole documentary out about it now. Could be grisly. I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch it or not.
This could be the most perfect documentary for anybody who's in a relationship with somebody who's into true crime documentaries. This might be your one excuse to say, honey, I know you're into your true crime crap. So there's this football guy that got murdered. Oh, say nothing more? Okay, I guess I can watch it with you. Like, that's my girlfriend. She likes the murder documentaries. So this might be a fun middle ground to be like, oh, I can actually watch this, and she'll get a murder documentary out of it, and it's football related. So I'm sure there's people with that Venn diagram in their relationships where this is going to work out for them.
The perfect couple's date night for you guys.
I mean, look, it's a sad story. I mean, when that all went down, I mean, Steve McNair was such a fun quarterback to watch.
Yes.
It was always kind of he's put him on the list of the guys who should have won a Super Bowl that didn't. I mean, Tennessee was so close. He played so good in that game that I remember. I'm sure somebody will bring up the stats and say, no, he didn't, but I remember him playing pretty decent in that game. I mean, obviously he led that great drive at the end of the game that just was a yard short.
Yep.
But he was always a good quarterback. Yeah, he had his flaws, but he was somebody that, on the football field at least, was a heck of a competitor. So I'm very curious to see this documentary.
I don't know if I'll watch it or not.
Yeah, I mean, August 20th, I have to remember. I'm sure I'll have to be reminded that that's coming out. But that might be something my girlfriend would actually sit through that's football related, willingly.
Okay. Let's see. The New York Jets will be bringing back their classic white uniforms for their October 14th Monday Night Football game against the Buffalo Bills. Why don't they go to those all the time? It's so stupid.
But those uniforms look so nice.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
The Packers still look the same as they did in the 60s. Why can't the Jets look the same as they did in the 60s? It's a classic look. There's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, I get the Jets are going back to like that late 70s to 90s.
Yeah, I didn't care for that either. The Joe Klecko era.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan. I always did prefer this particular uniform.
Yeah,
it looks
perfect.
so
the
great.
Joe Namath era.
And the fact they're doing it, they made sure during their announcement say one night only, and because I was curious about that because they've already got they had the 3 helmet rule now. And I was like, well, the Jets got the black helmet, and then they got, I guess, their green helmet. So yeah, I guess that would fit in that they could do a third helmet. So now they got this white helmet. So I don't know. We'll see. But like, I was just happy to hear that they were actually going to do it. I mean, it sucks it's only for one game, but at least it'll be a good looking game because that uniform against the Bills uniforms will look pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that. For us football fans that like a nice, aesthetically pleasing football matchup, that might be one where I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but gosh darn, do they look good in those uniforms.
Yeah. All right. And finally, in the NFL section, the Jacksonville Jaguars officially unveiled their Prowler throwbacks, which is basically their original jersey from the year they started. It's the team's 30th anniversary season this year. They've got a patch on their uniforms, and
I think they'll put a patch on the uniforms, but they've done a lot of cool promo stuff. Like I was like before the show, I was just kind of skimming through their X page, and it looked like that with some of their current players, they were like there was one where they like recreated. I don't know if it was a Sports Illustrated cover, some cover with like the original Jaguars jersey and a player at that time doing some pose, and they had a current player doing the exact same pose in the new jersey or the new throwback jersey. It looked great. I love those original Jaguars uniforms. I think it's a great look. I like their current logo. I thought it was a good tweak of their original helmet, but I do kind of want to get their original helmet now because that was such a nice looking helmet when they first came back. You don't have the original Jaguars helmet.
Oh, the Jaguars have.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You might have to get that now that they're doing that.
If they have one, yes. I have a whole collection of throwback helmets to the days when they were, when helmets were cool.
Yep.
Not the
now you have to get that other Jets
today.
one now, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, you have before they went to the Jets design, now you have that Klecko era Jets helmet.
Yeah, because it's a throwback.
It was a throwback. Because it was cool when it was like, oh, they busted out maybe once, but now that it's a permanent thing again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got some cool throwbacks up there. I'm getting mini helmets of the teams the Lions play this year. So I have because I don't know, like some teams are starting to release their uniform schedules, which is pretty neat. It's cool, like for us, nerds about uniforms, like seeing some of the matchups. What jerseys are people going to wear? Like I think the Lions are going to wear their black jersey on that Monday night game,
probably
against the Seahawks early on in the season. But like I know they were like the Colts already announced that they're going to wear their midnight black, their midnight Indianapolis jerseys against the Lions in Week 12. So now if I'm buying all these mini helmets for who Detroit plays this year, we go to Arizona. So I'm like, oh, are the Cardinals going to wear their white helmet, or are they going to wear their black helmet? I already got the white one, so I bought the black helmet just in case. So
that Indianapolis game, are those black uniforms or just a black helmet?
It's the black uniform with the black helmet.
So okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's the same ones they wore last year. I wasn't crazy about them. I didn't think it looked great. I'm sure their fans will say otherwise, but I didn't like it. But they're bringing it out again this year. So,
okay. Hard Knocks off season with the New York Giants, episode 3. I've only watched episode 1, but I guess you have seen all 3 episodes.
Yes.
So far. And another one comes out tonight.
I'm trying to remember because it was last Tuesday night / Wednesday morning that I watched episode 3. I'm trying not to jumble all the episodes together, but I'm pretty sure the last episode, what it was free agency started. So it was them, right as free agency was going, they're still trying to figure out what are they doing with Saquon. They're getting information on because they were hoping to resign Saquon at a deal, but they clearly were getting numbers that the Eagles and the Bears were driving up the price. So they were kind of getting nervous about that. And they did some stuff where they were just talking about like where they were spending their money, but to me it didn't seem like their GM had didn't have a plan or like an identity for his team. And I don't know how much they cut out of this because I get like while it's unprecedented access to a team and how you're running all this stuff, I would understand that they held a lot of stuff back.
Yeah.
Which I get, but I'm disappointed a little bit. I was like, I want some of that juicy stuff. Like I was I'm a bit of a sucker and a nerd for some of the behind the scenes, like football, the numbers. Like I wanted to hear from the finance guy, like, look, we have this much and this. And they kind of did that they would cut away. They had like people sitting at a poker table and they would have different players that they were trying to acquire on the cards and they had chips. And it'd be like, oh, well, Saquon was in the middle of the table and you saw like some teams putting a bunch of chips towards him and the Giants folding. Then they had like other players that they were targeting. And they would get a couple of those cards and a couple went to some other players at the table because like it would be like the Jaguars snagged one of the guys they wanted, or the Raiders snagged a guy or something. You know, I forget which teams exactly, but it was cool. They would just cut away to that just to kind of show, and then they would tell you how much money a guy was asking for and where the money was moving around. So I'm into it. I know you're not. You would say it's boring.
Yeah, I didn't care for the
I'm
first
more
one.
into it a little bit. It is nice access to kind of see some of that behind the scenes stuff. It honestly makes me just wish I get that of Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions. I would just love to see all that because I think that'd be way more entertaining. But
Yeah. So
it is what it is, and it's interesting to see like every once in a while, like the owner of the team, who's also the president, John Mara. Is it Mara?
Oh,
I know Mara's the last
yeah.
name. I forget his first name, but he would like walk in and talk to the team. It just seems like there's no real direction. It seemed like he was trying to hint like, hey, I want us to keep Saquon, but then the GM's like, well, he's too much money, so see you, Saquon. And I don't know. It was a little all over the place, just in terms of like, I don't know if this GM, you know, I won't say he doesn't know what he's doing, but it's just like, it just doesn't seem like there's really
that's the way it came off anyway.
the way it came off. And again, that comes down to the way it was edited, how much footage they actually let him, use, because like I said, I'm sure there's some details that we're not
Right.
going to be
Right.
privy to, which is fine, but I don't know. Just the way it was set up, that's how I felt about it. I don't think it's bad. I think that it's an interesting look. The next episode should be the draft.
Okay.
Because they did all the free agency stuff in this one, or most of the free agency stuff. So the next episode should be them being at the draft and all that, which I'm curious to see. And that obviously airs tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you, they hadn't shown the draft yet.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Because episode 1 was like before the combine. Episode 2 was combine. Episode 3 was free agency, and I think this episode is the draft coming up.
Okay. I would probably sit through the one on the draft, but
yeah, I'll let you know if it's worth checking out or not.
Okay. All right. Let's see. College football. The EA Sports College Football 25 video game sold around $200 million worth of pre-orders.
Yeah.
For the game. 2.2 million people played the game during the 3-day early window before the game was actually released. I think I saw somewhere they paid like $100.
Some people paid for the $100 bundle of the game
to play it
3 days early.
Yeah.
I paid $70 the day it came out. So for 30, like that's $10 a day, I guess, if you wanted to play. And I mean, it's not a bad game. Like I played it a little bit. I haven't gotten super immersive with it. But I mean, it's like Madden, but it is cool to have if you're a big college fan, it is nice to have your college team. It is nice to like go to some, and they really paid a lot of attention to some of the details in some of these stadiums. It is really cool because I played as Western. I picked Western as my team. I might put a video up about me playing the game a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. But like my first game I played, I beat Wisconsin 91-3. And I was like, wow, because I had it on freshman mode, because it goes like from easy to hard mode. It's freshman, then varsity, then it's All-American, then it's Heisman level.
Oh, okay.
So they have like 4 different difficulty levels. So when I beat Wisconsin that bad in the first game with Western Michigan, I was like, well, yeah, that was a little too easy. It was fun, but it was a little too easy. So then the second game, I moved it up to varsity difficulty, and Western plays Ohio State in week 2. I got my butt handed to me 48-7. So I'm not claiming to be the greatest Madden player or even the NCAA football player of all time, but man, that was a humbling loss right there. It's cool, like when you play as a road team in these stadiums, like the big stadiums, like in the Ohio State one. You've never really played a football video game, but before this, like you pick your play, and before the snap, if you forgot kind of where your route is, you can like hold a button, and it shows you your route tree. It shows you, okay, my A button is this route. B button is this route, right trigger is this route. Well, in that environment, when it's that loud and it's like that crowd, they make it so that all your lines are all squiggly, and you're like, oh crap, I don't know where my routes are going. So it's like to simulate like that home field advantage for the other team. You're just in this noise tunnel, and everything's shaking. Your screen's shaking, and I don't know. It's just a cool atmosphere. And like I said, I've played in the game so far. I've been at the Wisconsin Stadium, which looked pretty nice. The Horseshoe at Ohio State looked pretty nice. I have not played a home game at Western yet because I accidentally skipped over home game because they don't have any of the FCS schools in the game. So the team that they're supposed to play for that FCS week is like a custom team. Oh, okay. So it's I was like, oh, that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, they got Bethune-Cookman on their schedule.
Yeah, in that game it was called FCS Southeast, and it was a panda logo, and I was like, Yeah, I was like, that's weird.
That's the game I want to get tickets to. Is
Yeah,
Bethune-Cookman. I've never seen them
yeah. So
before.
I figured I was like, huh, I don't think we're playing a team that was a panda logo, but. So then I skipped that. Then I played a game against Marshall. I think that's the last game I played. So you go to Marshall, and I hate to say it, but it was funny because then you go to that Marshall game, and the stands were like half full, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this game might be a little too realistic." I felt bad for I was like, "Man, they really paid attention in these games." But I'd say so far some of the details look pretty good. Some of the other footage I've watched, like of Michigan, like all the schools that have those cool traditions, they've incorporated it into the game.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure like with Michigan, obviously you see the team come out and they all touch the
Oh,
banner.
okay.
They have all the fight songs, which is awesome.
Sure.
Like I said, I haven't delved too far into a lot of the other like options to play in the game. I was just kind of like, oh, I made myself as a head coach and I'm creating a dynasty with Western Michigan. Or you're trying to build up a dynasty. You do recruiting and all that, and there's a lot of nuances that nerds can do.
Well, didn't you say that you can create your own uniforms?
That okay, I was going to get to that. So yes, one of the cool features of this game, and I'll probably have to put up this on our channel. If you already have, I'm sure there's been a lot of people who've already done this out on the YouTubes, but you can go to EA Sports' website where you can do the team builder,
Hmm.
and it is the most thorough on like user friendly uniform maker I've ever seen for a video game. Because back in the day, you play Madden or college football, and you'd get like all the pre-made customs. You might get up to 18 different variations that you could cycle through. But here, you can upload your own images, and you can do a bunch of different designs. You get to customize your field. So like you could have like a blue field, a yellow field, a gray field, or you could put a picture on the field of whatever you want. You can put Burt Reynolds on that rug as your football field, which I'm sure somebody's already done. But it's just cool the customization you can make your stadium. It's just I haven't gotten that far with the customization. I started playing with it and I just did like the helmet, and I was just like, wow, this is so cool. I can move the logo around. You can make it chrome, and when you make it chrome, you can like rotate the helmet around on the screen, and it actually reflects, and you see a football stadium in the background like as you rotate it.
Hmm.
It's pretty neat. They put a lot of thought into this game. I think it's living up to a lot of the hype. But again, it's also like it's just Madden to me almost, but it's with the NCAA skin over it.
Okay.
Some player names I've recognized a little bit. Some I'm sure there's a lot of auto generated players for those who aren't in the game. So that's interesting because there's a lot of people were posting like names of some of the guys that were like auto generated, and they're just like shaking their head because there was some that were like um, uh, Jeff Epstein was a player, and just like, oof, come on, auto generator names.
Well, I thought maybe some of them were from the Key and Peele skits.
Oh, I'm sure there's.
You know,
We could add some of those.
donkey teeth.
I thought about making the World of Football team. I will add all the East West names from the Key and Peele sketch. But no, then there'd be like one player I saw. His name was L. Ebron, so it was like LeBron.
Oh,
And there was just a bunch of silly names that when people were like diving through the auto names, it's just like, wow, look at some of these names. Like some were like of famous people. It was just like coincidental. And it was just, I don't know. It's cool so far. I'll probably put up some sort of video. I just don't know what type of video it's going to be yet. But I'm having fun playing it, what little I've gotten to. So,
okay. All right. Well, let's move on to today's birthdays then. For July 23rd, running back Walt Garrison, born on this date in 1944. He passed away in 2023 at the age of 79. Played his college football at Oklahoma State and was selected in the 5th round of the 1966 NFL Draft by the Dallas Cowboys. He was also selected in the 17th round of the 1966 American Football League Draft by the Kansas City Chiefs. He signed with Dallas and played 9 seasons with the team from 66 to 74. Yep, his whole career with the Dallas Cowboys. And he was a member of the Super Bowl VI winning team. So he won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. All right, now let's move on. We've got a couple of obituaries. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first one is Abner Haynes, a running back in the American Football League for 8 seasons. He has passed away at the age of 86. Haynes played college football at North Texas and was selected in the 5th round of the 1960 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, he signed with the Dallas Texans of the rival American Football League in its first season. He won an AFL title with the Texans in 1962 before the team moved to Missouri and became the Kansas City Chiefs. He was with the Chiefs in 1963 and 1964. Haynes suffered a back injury during the '63 season, but returned later that year and earned AFL Comeback Player of the Year award. He went on to play for the Denver Broncos in 1965 and 1966, and he finished his playing career with the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins in 1967.
Our next obituary is that of Peter Martin, a fullback, linebacker, and guard in the Canadian Football League for 9 seasons, has passed away at the age of 83. Martin played college football at Western Ontario and played his entire CFL career with the Toronto Argonauts from 1965 to 1974. He played in the 1971 Grey Cup game, losing to the Calgary Stampeders 14-11. He then became a radio broadcaster for the Argos from 1977 to 2010. He is in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in the Football Reporters of Canada section. Martin also coached high school football for 33 years. He co-founded the Mississauga Minor Football League in 1971 and was the president of the Argo Alumni Association. He was inducted into the Mississauga Sports Hall of Fame in 1985.
Yeah, he was a broadcaster for 40 years, I think, with the Argonauts. He was the voice of the Argonauts for many, many years.
Yeah.
All right, our final obituary today is that of Frank Nunley II, a linebacker in the NFL for 10 seasons, has passed away at the age of 78. Nunley played college football at Michigan and helped lead the team to a victory in the 1965 Rose Bowl game over Oregon State, 34-7. He was selected in the third round of the 1967 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers and played his entire career with the 49ers from 1967 to 1976. His nickname was Fudge Hammer because, they say, he had a sweet demeanor off the field and had a hard-hitting presence on the field.
One of the best nicknames ever. Add it to the list of nicknames.
Yeah, I thought of that. Yeah, a year or two ago, we ran down a whole list in our history lesson of great nicknames, individuals and teams. But Fudge Hammer was not one on our list.
It sounds to me like you need to redo that history lesson as a video, and we should just highlight some of the greatest nicknames.
We could do that.
There you go. Add it to your list.
Because since we did those, we ran into a few here and there. As a few obituaries came along, we found, well, that guy had a great nickname. Why didn't we hear about that one?
Fudge Hammer. Heck yeah, I love it.
All right, finally today, our upcoming events calendar. This weekend, July 26th and Friday the 26th and Saturday the 27th, the Women's Football Alliance 3 championship games are going to be played at Tom Benson Stadium in Canton, Ohio. Don't know if they're going to do an all-star game this year, but they have in the past, so they could possibly do that again this year. Thursday, August 1st, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. Chicago Bears versus the Houston Texans. I believe that's just 9 days away from today.
Yeah, I mean, next week. It's crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. Saturday the 3rd, a couple days after that, the 2024 enshrinement ceremonies at the Hall of Fame. Tuesday, August 6th, Hard Knocks training camp with the Chicago Bears premieres on HBO and Max. That's a 5-episode series. It's usually always 5 episodes. Tuesday, August 13th is going to be our 7th anniversary show. 7 years we've been sitting across the table from each other, making fun of each other.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep doing that for a while, I guess.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Saturday the 24th, week 0 in college football. So college football is right around the corner.
About a month from tomorrow.
Yep. Let's see. Thursday, September 5th, the NFL regular season begins with a game between the Ravens traveling to take on the Chiefs. And Friday, September 6th, the very next night, the Eagles and Packers will face each other in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That game is exclusively on Amazon Prime. All right, that's it for this week's show. Anything that we missed while we were talking that you see on your phone?
Well, I guess things I missed from the NFL. The wide receiver we talked about last week, Brandon Ayuk, who was holding out, is currently in search of a new contract, but is reporting to 49ers training camp. And then the Browns, their wide receiver, Amari Cooper, has agreed to a restructured deal, which includes a raise and has reported to training camp. So those are two of the NFL stories that have kind of just broken in. Not a whole lot there.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week, folks. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also follow The World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, so you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of the show on our YouTube page. Just enter the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in that YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
How long was the show? Did we make it under an hour again?
We are currently sitting at 55 minutes and 43 seconds.
First time since February 6th that we've been under an hour. All right.
I mean, unless I keep talking and we drag this show out.
Shut up. All right. Remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm going to take my time with my ending here.
Shut up. We'll see you all next week.